Slurpty Derp, volume 6964, the Slurp Chronicles official artifact YouTube follow along sound design mug, only available in the United States, is out now on my website. Go ahead and grab yourself one and slurp along. Today I've got a nitrogen sub, which is really important because you need to inject some NOS into your car, and yeah, so that's why I've named it nitrogen sub, because I haven't played Need for Speed for a while. Maybe, I don't really know. Anyway, before I ramble on about a load of rubbish again, rubbish, by the way, means garbage if you're an American. I don't want to offend anyone with them not understanding what I say. Yeah, so before I get into this, please hit the like and subscribe button. I really appreciate that. It helps me out a lot. Check out my Discord. You get discount for my mentorship sessions. You can also grab a bunch of cool free presets in Discord, like this one on the Fireteam tier, which is the nitrogen sub. Let's have a little listen, and I'm going to walk through the patch, and then afterwards I'm going to talk about this awesome little free distortion plugin that I've used in the post-processing. So let's get into it, my G's. So it's a really nice little funky subby groove. And I'm going to run you through the patch quickly, the patch of grass, as we like to call it. And there's no delay on it. Okay, interesting. Basically, we've got the three sine waves, the Holy Trinity, if you won't mind me saying. And everything is quite simply modulated. I think it's a preset in Vital called Trance Gate, and I basically just moved around a few spots and came up with this cool little groove. But the groove is going to come in on the FM when we add in our second sine wave. So let's go ahead and do that. This one's one octave up from the one below. LFO1 is then tracked to the FM amount here. So like with my drum beat, you know, a nice little funky groove to get your grandma up and running. Next up, we're going to add in a little bit of the next oscillator, which is going to be a lower down sine wave. But also important to note, you know, in case you're new, phase is off, right, to keep it nice and concise every time. There's a little bit of form scaling to shape this sine wave here. You can see it moves a little bit. I'm not sure if it does too much, but it's a little subtle detail, and we're all about the subtle details over here. So, what was I saying? Oscillator 3, down 24. Yeah, so again, I've tracked this again from oscillator 1, and again I've got a little modulation going on here on the LFO1, so nice and simple to follow. Now we need to inject some texture into the sound because it's just, you know, basic shapes, you know, so that's why I love using basic shapes to design synths, because, you know, the most powerful waveforms, but, you know, they do lack a bit of texture, so that's where the noise comes in handy. Loving the pink noise, but need to filter out that rumbly low end. So we're going to filter out the low end here. And what I've done for the noise, to give a bit of variation to the patch, is I've modulated the level of the noise the other way. So as the sine wave sort of goes up, you know, as we get that accent of the FM sine wave, the noise comes down, and so they reverse. So you can kind of listen, it's going, you know, on a sort of reverse pattern here. And if I turn it up, it almost sounds like they're sidechaining to each other. But the reason it's so low is because in the effects later, when I activate the compressor, it's going to really bring out that noise like really loudly. So I've turned it down here just to get ready for it. And then I've got another filter on, and this is the filter 1, and sometimes a bit of random low pass filtering just on one of your oscillators, because I've essentially left all three of them on. It's just that this main sort of middle one here, I probably should have mentioned this earlier. I turned the level down and I put this on the LFO as well. So we're combining the different volumes in certain ways to, you know, get the final result of that groove that I wanted, essentially. That's a terrible way of explaining it. I'm really sorry. Anyway, yeah, just shaping a little bit more of the overall character with a filter on here, just on one of the oscillators. But it's a small detail I just did in the moment, really. Next, then I've got the effects, so the chorus. I've tracked this to my LFO as well, so you can see the delay 1 and 2. The delay 2 is going backwards, the delay 1 is going forwards, and also the depth is going down a bit on the LFO, so it's all kind of moving in sync with the patch. Now the compressor is going to bring out that noisiness, so you can hear, you know, and I've actually mixed it in at such a small amount, 0.04, and you can already hear such a big difference in the noise. So nice around there. Then a little bit of soft clipping just to glue it all together. It's almost a little bit much there, actually, I find. That's better. Then a EQ, a little bit of boosting the mid-range and the high end, and a tiny bit of reverb to finish. So that's the main nitrogen sub patch on its own, which you can go ahead and grab in Discord on Patreon if you don't want to make it yourself. Sounds really wicked, and I haven't even played any other melodic notes in yet. It probably could make an even cooler groove when we start to sort of like play around on the keyboard a bit. Next up, I just wanted to mention before I leave you guys is this wicked free plugin I just had a little go with, and loving it so far. Feels like I finally found a nice distortion that just does what I want it to do, and it's actually free as well. So that's even better. So what I like about this one is you can modulate everything, and the character of the different kind of distortions just sounds good. And what I've done is I've played around with them on this particular patch, which is quite clean, and it's a nice low, subby, sine wavy, powerful, bassy patch, and it's exaggerated, you know, these high end sort of growls through this distortion algorithm in a really nice way. So I'm really enjoying it. And what I've basically done is I've put an LFO1. I've drawn in this LFO here, and I've tracked a few things in the distortion section to follow along with that LFO. So it starts off clean, and then the distortion comes up at this sort of what is it, half a bar or something. So if you listen without, I think it's half a bar or something. The distortion comes in, and that's basically, you can sort of blend the amount here. So I guess this is kind of the dry wet mix. So by sort of right clicking, turning on the LFO, adjusting it here, you can see it starts off pretty dry, and then we increase the wetness, and that's blending in this like nice amount of saturation and a bit of fold and everything. Have a little go with it, download it and play around with it. Highly recommend it. I've only just literally used it for 10 minutes, but it sounds wicked so far. And you can change all the colours and stuff. That's cool. But yeah, nice juicy little way you can process your sound. Get a bit of extra distortion harmonics out of your sub bass in a more controlled manner. I've been Artifact. Anyway, you've been the viewer. Thank you very much for watching. Please, whatever you do, just don't do what I wouldn't now, for goodness sake.